Welcome, everybody, to Dead
Hi.
Talk Live. And tonight we have a very special guest, one of the stars of Prime Video's hit show, The Wild, Shannon Berry, who plays fan favorite Dot Campbell. Shannon, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
Eh,
really excited.
I am so stoked. So let's just go right into it. Let's go into a
Sweet.
deep dive about Dot, the Wilds, and the whole 9 yards. Now, your character is by far the most level-headed one in the group. You became an adult in the second season. What do you think is it about Dot's character that Gretchen picked you to be in this group?
Well, I think for one, I think one of the sad obvious reasons that Gretchen would have absolutely jumped on having Dot be a part of her experiment is unfortunately because her father passes away. So there's that element that she's definitely like, oh, I can get away with this because there is no one that
Yeah,
will be looking for her, which is terrible and very sad. But I think also it is that obviously Dot has a basic knowledge of medical experience. She has a basic knowledge of survival, which I think is really helpful. And I think as well, Dot has this tenacity in the face of difficult situations. And she's had to manage a difficult situation basically from when she was 10 years old. So had about 7 years of experience kind of dealing with um, a really terrible situation. And I think it's a little bit of that as well. Just she's able
absolutely.
to keep a clear head and get things done. She's always just getting things done at the end of the day.
Now, we know by the end of season two that you guys spent approximately 45 days on that island. Uh, when it comes to Dot, how much of a change do you think your character went through in those 45 days from the initial arrival to the island to the ultimate rescue?
I think the person that we see in Dot when she arrives is someone who doesn't really know how to interact with her fellow peers because she's never really had the opportunity of friends or friendship or a friend group that's outside her father. And I think she was kind of a little bit terrified of this concept of friendship, and especially with women who she really hasn't been around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she's more kind of snarky. She comes off with like her quick comments, her quick little remarks here and there. And I think she learns compassion from these women. I think they teach her that there is compassion and that you never have to do anything alone.
Yeah.
And that finally she kind of has a new found family in a way. The plane crashing was one of the best things that kind of ever happened to her because now she has community and she has family,
And
which
that's a
she lost.
line that Dot says that on her birthday party that she says it's the best birthday party she's ever had. And that sort of exemplifies everything. Now, there's a very crucial moment in season one where Dot sort of hands control over to Rachel. She
Mm.
gives her the lighter, saying, "That's it, I'm done. I'm out of ideas. You take the lead." I mean, when you were playing that out and you were sort of building up the story as to why she would do that, what did you come up with? Why would Dot hand over leadership to Rachel?
There comes a point there comes a point where Dot just she can't handle being the one that everybody looks to anymore. It's her first instance where we really see her trying to take control of herself in the sense that she needs a break. And definitely the process leading up to that, it's a grueling shoot. Filming this show was not easy. When we're in the water, we're in the water. Um, and I think it's leaning on that exhaustion that she feels, and she's always the one that people turn to. She's and kind of sometimes made out to look like the bad guy when she says like we got to move.
Yeah.
Everyone's really not into that idea. at all. And I think it's that moment of like, right, I need to dust my hands of this for a little bit, and I just need to take 5 minutes. I need to take a break. And we see very quickly that she can't even get that. She really is someone that they all turn to and look to.
Do you think
Um,
Dot's leadership abilities comes because she had to take care of her ailing father for so long?
I think definitely, and I think it comes from not only is she surviving on this island, but she has had to survive kind of her entire childhood. She sells her father's medication to get money to buy other medication that isn't covered by his care and his
Yeah,
insurance, his veterans insurance, the VA. She's constantly lived in this mode of survival, and she's had to be the leader, and she's had to make tough decisions. And the hardest decision she ever has to make is happening to step up and fulfill her father's last wish, essentially.
exactly.
Um, so it's something that's always, I wouldn't say has come naturally to her, but she's been forced
Yeah, to grow
to
up a
kind of
lot
fall into
faster.
that
Yeah, she's
role.
been forced to grow up a lot faster than she should have been. Let's talk about that scene, the flashback scene between you and Greg Bright, who plays your dad.
Incredible
One of my
man.
most, I mean, one of my favorite scenes of the whole series so far. Very touching scene. Greg, I've had the pleasure of talking to Greg. He was a prior guest of ours. Very nice man, very
He's the
intuitive.
best.
He is the best. You guys played off each other so well to when he asked you to end his life, basically. And it was just the tears, the song playing in the background. Did you guys rehearse that scene? What did you do to get into the mode to be in that situation?
I, it was so nerve wracking rocking up on the day, just because the gravity of the scene and the gravity of the situation to what Dot was going through. And also I just absolutely wanted to show up. I wanted to make sure that I was prepared, and that I knew exactly what I was going to do. But working with Greg made it so easy. He definitely was a rock that I leaned on, and we went straight into a rehearsal, and there really was no further prep needed, because as soon as he started, it was just, we would just listen to each other, and all of a sudden the waterworks would flow. We were
Yeah.
both crying in the rehearsal, and uh, our close-ups, when they got to our close-ups, I we ran through one close up on me, and then it was over, and they were like, yep, that's it, we got it,
That's
in the
awesome.
one take, which was insane. And I kept asking, are you sure, like we can do this again, are you absolutely sure that we
You
that we
got
got
it.
that?
Yeah, you got
But
it.
Greg is just so incredible that he just made it so easy, and it was so real to be there with him in that moment. So
It's a
I
beautiful.
owe a lot of my performance to him.
It was a beautiful scene. Beautiful scene. How
Thank
much
you.
of yourself would you say is in Dot, if any?
I think we're both a bit goofy. Um, definitely. Uh, I think me and Dot share a lot of our humor. I think our humor is very much connected. Our life experiences are totally different, as our accents are totally different. But there is that Dot kind of always lives in me, in the sense of she's such a free spirit,
Yeah,
and she cares a lot about other people, and she doesn't really give a damn what anybody thinks about her, as long as she's getting the job done. And I like to think that sometimes I also move through my life like that.
absolutely. Now, season two premiered just a little over a month ago, so it's still fairly new. We're not going to spoil how season two ends, but in a potential season three, obviously there's still plenty of room for growth for all the characters. The way season two ends is really shocking. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. What would you like to see happen with Dot in season three? I assume you don't know yet. What would you like to see happen with her? Do you
Oh my
like to
god,
see
that's a
her
great
to
question.
continue on the same path that she's been on? or would you like the writers to sort of throw a wrench in her character and maybe take her off into a different direction?
I'm always like, I love a challenge. So if a wrench was thrown in my direction, I absolutely would relish in that. I think wrenches are fun. And if that's the direction that they wanted to go, absolutely. I think we kind of got a little bit of a tease in season 2 of this darker side of Dot, this kind of aggression
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't really seen from her before, that lives within her, which was an interesting dynamic of her to discover, because she's never really been an aggressive person or a standoffish person or an
Yeah.
angry person. So if that popped up again in season 3, I think that'd be really interesting to kind of lean into. Is of course I don't want Dot to be a dark person, but I find that part of her very interesting.
Yeah.
And I would love to have a little play with that again.
And what I find interesting, you know, for people that have watched every episode, is that we get a real deep backstory as to the other girls and the boys so far. But with Dot, we just have that father daughter moment. There's still a lot that can be filled in with her backstory that the writers can go with. And talking about the writers, I have spoken to many actors who have been on TV shows for a while, and they find, as with every episode, the writers get to know Shannon Barry better, and they start to write Dot around Shannon yourself. Do you find that is what's happening on the Wilds?
I definitely felt that season 1. I never thought Dot would be as funny as she absolutely is.
She is.
I the fact that we were able to find this hilarity and this lightness during that pilot, I think definitely Dot kind of molded from just us and the other girls kind of having fun, having quick little whips with each other. And that relationship between Dot and Fatten, I feel like stemmed a
Yeah.
lot from myself and Sophia. We get really goofy when we're together. We can't really contain it. We get like, whenever we see each other. And I think kind of the Dot and Fatten relationship came out of me and Sophia, how we act with each other. And definitely, I think these moments of humor, I was able to kind of live in them, and then they started to pop up, which I
Absolutely.
thought was really cool.
Now, this show is notorious for the big reveal shockers throughout the season, not just in the premieres or finales. As each episode goes on, we learn something new. As you were getting these scripts, whether in season 1 or season 2, and you're reading these reveals, which one really surprised you? Whoa, I did not see this twist coming.
The big twist, I think the one that we really didn't see coming, is we kind of get episodes week after week. So as we're filming one of the episodes, halfway through, the next script would come in, and we'd all of a sudden, we all don't have reception or anything like that. So then we'd get back up to the top of the hill after a day of shooting, and all of us would be like, it came, the script came, and we're trying to download it, and there's like no reception, and we're all reading it to try and figure out what's happening next. I think it was finding out how Rachel lost her hand, because we were all wondering about that. We were like, where did her hand go? Did she chop it off? Did she get stuck somewhere? Did one of us chop it off? Did something happen? And finding out that it was a shark attack was definitely like a huge thing. We were all so shocked and just so excited to see how that was going to play out on screen and how it was all going to be filmed.
I'm sure it would have really sucked if you found out that Dot had to chop Rachel's hand.
Yeah, well, she cauterizes it, which is still pretty awful. That was really cool to read in the script. I was like, ew, nice.
Now, this show is extremely popular. It has spawned up groups all over the place, Reddit, people coming up with their theories about what's going to happen. How has the fan reaction been with you?
I've never experienced anything like it. Um, our fans are so passionate and they care so much about this show, and filming season one compared to season two, knowing that people had seen season one and really loved the show and were so excited to see what we did next was just such a wonderful feeling that people were excited to see what we would put out. Otherwise, season one, we're all just hanging out. We're like, oh yeah, we're making a show, we're making a new
Yeah.
show, this is super fun, I hope people like it. And then season two was like, oh, I hope the fans of season one really like it because now it's amazing that people care and they've fallen in love with these characters. And I think, like all the girls in the show have found their family, I think a lot of the fans have found family and community within our show, which has just been the most beautiful thing to witness. And I'm super grateful that people love the Wilds as much as we do.
Let's talk about a little bit about the behind the scenes. How do you girls, I'm assuming you guys got along well. Describe how it is behind the scenes.
We would finish shooting and then go straight back into hanging out with each other. We all stayed in the exact same hotel, and we were all just always up in each other's business, all knocking on each other's doors, dinner parties, going out. We did an escape room when we first all got together to film for team bonding. We all did an escape room together, and we're just obsessed with each other. It's just the bottom line. And you get so close because you don't see anybody else. It's just all of you together. And the addition of the boys was so lovely because then we just had 8 more beautiful people that would, come to all of our dinner parties, game nights, everything like that. We always hang out.
Now, when you were watching, because there are characters, your Dot's scenes are limited, primarily with the girls on the island. Okay, now, when you started watching the screeners and you saw the final product and you're watching the show as us, the viewers, watch it, you get to see Gretchen, who is played beautifully by Rachel Griffiths. I mean, you love to hate this woman. She is so dead set in her ideology and refuses to accept failure. How do you personally, as a fan of the show, what are your feelings on Gretchen?
Gretchen sucks. Gretchen just straight up sucks. There's a theory that she's my mom. I kind of wish that was true. That'd be a very interesting season 3 wrench.
That would. I never
that'd
thought
be a
of
good
that.
wrench. But Gretchen is she thinks about her big plan, and that's really all she cares about. And I think she lacks compassion for the people behind her experiment, and she thinks she's doing this for the greater good to prove that a matriarchal society would benefit more than a patriarchal one. But she lacks the compassion for these women and men that she's
And
putting all
therefore
this emotional torture through.
and that makes her just not objectionable, basically. I mean, she's not doing this for science or anything like that. You can totally tell this is just for her personal ego, for lack of a better term. Now, there was a year break, obviously, with COVID between season 1 and season 2. Did you guys find out you were coming back for a season 2 during COVID? Was it before season 1 ended? I'm assuming sometime in between. When did you find out that it was being picked up for a second season?
We found out a week after the show dropped, which was insane.
Yes.
So Christmas had just happened. It was like an amazing Christmas present to all of us. And I found out in the middle of the night because Sarah Pigeon had texted me and she was trying to call me. And I was like, I'm sleeping. Like, we're different time zones, babe. Like, you're in the daytime, I'm in the nighttime. Like, I'm in Australia.
That's like Leo.
And she was like, it's been picked up.
Yeah.
Answer your phone. We're going back. And that was amazing to find out like a week afterwards. And then basically from there, it was just hanging out to see like what the COVID situation was like and when we would be back. And yeah, we kind of jumped into filming like 4 months later.
So in the finale of season 2, there is a second group. There's a control group, the boys. We get to meet the boys in season 2. And the girls and the boys sort of meet for the first time in the finale of season 2. What was it like to get all of you guys together in the same shots? Was that like, wow, here we are, we were filming
So
together?
spooky. It was so amazing and exciting because it just sets up what season 3 is going to be, us all together interacting, which is super exciting because now it's like 8 new characters that Dot will then get to interact with. I wonder what that's going to look like
Yeah,
when as characters we really have been interacting with the same people all the time. So I think that's another wrench is
God, can you
how are
imagine
these women
how?
going to interact with them?
Can you imagine how Dot and Kieran are gonna interact? That's gonna be.
That's actually something that's a huge one because me and Charles are very good friends,
Uh huh.
and we've talked about this a bit. And that situation seems like would be the most wacky
Yeah,
because they're very opposite. I think
absolutely.
Dot would kind of give him a run for his money a
I do
little
too.
bit.
I
I
do
think she
too.
wouldn't stand for it. She'd be like, you're hiding something. I think you're defensive as hell. And I'm going to like get to your gooey little center. Just give me
Absolutely.
some time.
And that's what we can't wait for now is to see how this story proceeds in the season 3, because the ending of 2 is like, oh my god, it's, well, we're not going to spoil it. Shannon, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing
Oh,
those
thank
great
you.
stories. We love the show. We love Dot in the show. We love all the characters in the show. You guys are all fantastic. And the way it was brought together with the showrunners, the producers, the directors, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
Any final thoughts? Watch season 2, and
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll be back soon for a season 3. Hopefully we'll
Absolutely.
have some good news soon.
I want to thank our guest tonight, Shannon Barry, who plays Dot Campbell on The Wilds on Prime Video. Please, guys, check it out. Seasons 1 and 2 are now available on Amazon Prime Video. You will not be disappointed. If you haven't watched it yet, as soon as you start, you'll probably end up binging all 18 episodes. Again, a big thank you to our guest, Shannon Barry. On behalf of me, about myself and Shannon, stay safe and stay walking, everybody. Good night.
Thank you so much.